Part 4. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 31. Today's Zhang family is not the behemoth machine it used to be. It can be said that 2 or 3 kittens are not counted. After the huge Zhang family collapsed, only Zhang Cheng was left. If you want to make a comeback, you will definitely not be able to use those connections you once had. He can only recruit a group of people worth cooperating with to form a new generation chain of interests. At least, everything that happened so far was going in the direction he expected. After getting out of the car, Zhang Cheng took out his mobile phone and dialed Lu Feng's number. After the phone rang a few times, it was connected. "Hello, who's there?" A lazy and sleepy voice came from the other end of the phone. Zhang Cheng spoke lightly. "It's me, come out." After Lu Feng heard this familiar voice, he stood up straight and hurriedly got out of bed and put on his clothes. "Wait for me 10 minutes. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Zhang Cheng didn't mind either. He didn't know Lu Feng's temper. It was okay now, so he was not in a hurry to let him down immediately, so he started walking in the School of Finance and Economics. In this university, the children of wealthy people are sent here. Especially in a super city like Shanghai, there are definitely many people with net worths of billions or tens of billions. But they don't have any hard assets or strength, and they have no valuation. Property such as a house. People who graduate from this university will return to their families to start their own businesses. Novice students with no background will be hired by major companies after graduation, and they will have no worries about their future. "Senior Zhang Cheng? Why are you here?" Suddenly, a girl's voice, which was gentle and somewhat joyful, floated behind him. Zhang Cheng smiled dumbly and turned around, only to see a very young and beautiful girl wearing a white printed t-shirt and a pair of 9-point jeans, looking at him with joy on her face. He is indeed not here to create unexpected opportunities to bump into the heroines today. "Qinjian, what a coincidence." Lin Qinjian quickly walked up to him and said with a smile, "Well, I was just going to eat in the cafeteria." "Senior, why do you have time to come here?" Zhang Cheng smiled lightly and said, "I came here to talk to people and wait for people here. I didn't expect to meet you." "What a coincidence." Lin Qinjian smiled. He still had a good impression of Zhang Cheng. As for why she was chased and beaten last night, she didn't think too much about it. Places like bars are such a mess anyway. Lin Qinjian couldn't help but blush when she looked at the man in front of her who was dressed in casual clothes, with a not so exquisite hairstyle, and a handsome and bearded face with a weathered look. "I can see it clearly this time. Senior, with your sloppy appearance, no one would recognize you on the street." Lin Qinjian smiled softly. Compared with the polished photos that were published in various newspapers in the past, not many people can recognize Zhang Cheng now. "Are you sloppy? This looks pretty good." Zhang Cheng raised the corners of his mouth slightly. The two chatted for a while, and Zhang Cheng's cell phone rang. After answering the phone, he said directly, "I will walk down the road from the teaching building to the cafeteria in a moment." After saying that, he hung up. Then he turned to Lin Qinjian and spread his hands helplessly. "It seems we can only talk next time, let's go first." "Okay, goodbye, senior." Looking at Zhang Cheng's back, Lin Qinjian suddenly felt that compared to the rich second generation who had been spending money to show off themselves, Zhang Cheng was simply way ahead of them. Spending money to support the scene is not as good as being calm and arrogant with one's own aura. After Zhang Cheng walked away, a mocking voice sounded next to Lin Qinjian. "Hey, our aloof Lin University beauty also has a boyfriend." Sure enough, a loser and Cinderella are a perfect match. On a school road, next to a red Ferrari 488, a squat young man was looking around. When he saw a figure walking slowly on the road, he immediately cursed and got into the car. Seeing the red Ferrari driving towards him, Zhang Cheng stopped, took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, took one out, put it to his mouth, lit it and inhaled. When the car stopped, he took out another one and threw it over, then walked to the passenger seat, opened the door and got in. Lu Feng didn't want to be polite to him. He lit up the car and took a puff. As for parking on the school road, it was all bullshit. Why did you come to me today? For him, Zhang Cheng and he are now considered partners. As for the benefits, he said it will take a while to see them, and he can afford to wait. He was not worried that Zhang Cheng would lie to him. In the Magic City, even the Zhang family at its peak would not dare to provoke him at will. Zhang Cheng flicked the ashes of his cigarette and said with a deep look, "Arrange some things." Lu Feng was a little curious, but he didn't interrupt. This circle in the Magic City is too peaceful, like a pool of stagnant water. It has been peaceful for too long. I want to reshuffle this circle. On the side, Lu Feng was dumbfounded. Brother, I'm still around. Is it useful for you to tell me this? Even the richest man wouldn't dare to say that about reshuffling the cards, right? The water in the Magic City is no better than that of other emerging cities. The established aristocratic families here have taken root, and there are many who are better than the Lu family. They are strong, but they only have capital in front of the new aristocratic families, but they are still not enough in front of the established families. What, brother, I just want to make some money to spend. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 32. You can never see clearly how dark this world is. You can't even touch the water in the demon city deeply. If you really want to do something famous, listen to me in everything. If you don't talk about your Lu family's wealth in the future, even doubling it won't be a problem. And it's completely under your own control, allowing you to break out of the family circle. Zhang Cheng said, minding his own business. He was very familiar with the entire plot, and what he wanted to do was not just to survive. He now has a bigger goal. Turn this world into your own paradise. Looking back, Zhang Cheng popped the burning cigarette butt between his fingers out of the window. Drive, I'll take you to someone. Lu Feng nodded, then started the car and slowly drove out of the Magic City School of Finance and Economics. Lu Feng now only thinks that Zhang Cheng is crazy, but while people think he is crazy, they can also feel his clear goals and aggression. Maybe you can really accomplish something by following him. At 12 o'clock at noon, outside the Hongqiao branch, Song Qing looked forward expectantly. When he saw Ye Tian's thin figure appeared, he immediately raised his hand. Brother Ye, this way. Ye Tian slowly walked up to him and said, Young Master Song, please come and pick me up. Song Qing waved her hand, shook her head and said, It's not troublesome. After all, I was the one who got Brother Ye into trouble. If it hadn't been for you last night, I would have been in danger. He was self-aware, and after seeing his old man get so angry, which was rare, he also understood the importance of Ye Tian. In the eyes of the old man, if he were not a direct blood relative, his status might be lower than Ye Tian. Brother Ye, I'm sorry last night, because I couldn't save you because Zhang Hongjian was here. Ye Tian said nonchalantly, It doesn't matter. I also know how powerful she is underground in the Magic City. It's normal for me to be imprisoned for causing trouble in her territory. I'm afraid that gangster is already dead. He was really right about this matter. No matter who it was, making trouble on Zhang Hongjian's territory would indeed pay a heavy price. And he was only detained normally, which is already a very lucky thing. But he would not be willing to be detained like this for a night, and he would definitely give it back to her in the future. Song Qing nodded in approval, and then said, By the way, Brother Ye, my grandfather said that in a few days, there will be a cocktail party to celebrate the cure of his stubborn illness. There will be several old people attending, and they will introduce them to you. No. Ye Tian narrowed his eyes when he heard this. Elder. I'm afraid he's on the same level as Mr. Song, right? As for introducing him to someone, he may have some stubborn illness that is difficult to cure, so as to make friends with him. Yet Tian thought of this and smiled. Okay, I will definitely come to participate when the time comes. Then let's go have a meal first, and then I'll take you back. And on the other side, Lu Feng followed Zhang Cheng's navigation and drove to an old housing area. Looking at the buildings of the last century around him, Lu Feng couldn't help but frown and said, "Brother Cheng, who are you looking for to live in a place like this?" Zhang Cheng didn't explain and just let him continue driving. Soon, they stopped at an old residential building and parked the car in an open parking lot. The two walked into the six-story residential building in front of them. In the dirty and small environment, Lu Feng frowned and kept yelling, "Brother Cheng, who are you looking for? Is there any big shot living in a place like this?" Zhang Cheng glanced at him from the corner of his eyes and said calmly, "You will know later." What he was looking for was Zhou Wanqing, whom he met at the school gate that day. To be more precise, what he was looking for was Zhou Wanqing's brother. Everyone will fail every time they start a business. But the strange thing is that every time he went bankrupt due to debt, he was able to pay off the debt quickly and continue to start his own business. When they reached the fourth floor, they heard yelling and cursing coming from a house. "Damn it, how dare you even drag Master Hu's money away? You don't want to live anymore, do you? The company has already given it to you, what else do you want?" Hearing this voice, Zhang Cheng immediately came to the door. All I saw was a young man whose nose was beaten and his face was swollen. His eyes were filled with anger. He stared at the gangster holding a stick in front of him and roared loudly. Because his company was cheated by his partners, in order to avoid bankruptcy, Shenhao sold the company to the bosses behind these gangsters. It was obvious that he could recover some losses, but he didn't expect it. "Haha, don't you have to pay back the money you borrowed? There are still 500,000. The leader of the bald gangster sneered. "I'm warning you, Shenhao, you have to deliver 500,000 yuan to us within a week, otherwise you won't be able to leave the magic city alive." Shenhao's eyes instantly turned red when he heard the bald gangster's words. "Fuck you, who the hell owes you 500,000? What does Wan Minghua's loan have to do with me?" Seeing him yelling curses, several people behind the gangster looked at each other and came up with baseball bats. The bald man stopped his men's footsteps, squatted down, patted his face heavily with his palm, and said with a sinister smile, "This is none of my business. I only know that he borrowed it in the name of your company, and you, as the legal representative, this debt will naturally be placed on you." "Bullshit. You guys are colluding. I want to call the police." Shenhao slapped his hand away and said angrily. However, the movement was too big, causing injuries on his body, and his face suddenly became ferocious. After hearing this, the bald gangster laughed and looked at Shenhao with eyes filled with amusement. "Call the police? Okay, go and report it and see if it works. When the news is over, you can see how I can deal with you. If you work in their line of work, you are naturally not afraid of others calling the police or anything like that. At worst, you can stay in this line of work for a few months and you will still be in this line of work. But people with no background are different. They will be blocked by them until they collapse, or they will try their best to pay off the debt. Of course, it's understandable if you don't have any money. I'll use your house to pay off the debt, and I'll give you an extra 500,000 yuan. Or, your sister can spend one night with our Mr. Tiger to pay off the debt. Tisk, tisk, that's 500,000 yuan a night. You beasts, try touching my sister." The bald gangster's threat came into Shenhao's ears, and he almost went crazy with his popularity. His parents died young, and he and Zhou Wanqing depended on each other until now. If something happened to his sister, he would definitely go crazy. But behind the rage, there is a deep sense of powerlessness. The boss behind them is not scary, but the person standing behind their boss is definitely a big shot that he cannot afford to offend. Behind Master Hu, standing was the eldest son of the Song family, Song Cheng. Although Song Cheng disdains doing this kind of thing, the losers he raises are different. It is precisely because there is someone like Mr. Hu who is involved in the underworld. Song Cheng will be noticed by the superiors. The whole scene in the room fell into the eyes of Zhang Cheng and Lu Feng. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 33. Do you know why I chose to cooperate with you? At this time, Zhang Cheng outside the door suddenly asked. Lu Feng thought for a few seconds, then slowly shook his head. Although your Lu family is also involved in gangs, you didn't do such a thing like them. I don't consider myself a good person. I will annex and bankrupt anyone, but that's normal. So, even in this scene, I am still helping out of interests. Zhang Cheng said little by little. Lu Feng stood behind him and looked at his back. As a man, he felt that this person was too crazy, so crazy that it was completely inconsistent with his previous image of a gentle and elegant CEO. He is simply a different person. After Zhang Cheng finished speaking, he stepped into the door. Boom, boom, boom. He reached out and knocked on the door. Suddenly, several people in the hall turned around, looked at him, and shouted, "Young boy, don't you see that this place is busy? Get out of here." The bald gangster was unhappy now that his majesty was interrupted. Zhang Cheng glanced at Zhou Hao, who was already hanging on the ground, and said calmly, "You have 30 seconds to get out." "Haha, what the hell are you saying, pretty face? Do you know who we are? How dare you be so crazy?" Hearing Zhang Cheng's arrogant tone, the bald gangster laughed angrily, let go of Zhou Hao's collar, stood up, and said angrily, "Ahem." Zhou Hao fell to the ground and coughed twice. He looked at some familiar people in front of him and said gratefully, "My friend, please leave quickly. This is my fault. You can leave and don't worry about it." Hearing Zhou Hao's words, the bald gangster glared at him, then turned to Zhang Cheng and shouted, "Young boy, get out of here while I'm in a good mood, or else I'll leave you an arm as the price for your meddling." Zhang Cheng waved his hand impatiently and said, "Don't talk nonsense here, you are a bunch of social scum. I will get angry when I see you." What troubles him the most is the tone of this scum of society, as if he has no fear of anything. In fact, when meeting big people, everyone can lower their heads to their crotches. "What do you mean by a pretty boy riding a horse? Are you looking for death?" The bald gangster got angry, picked up the baseball bat, walked over, and hit Zhang Cheng on the right shoulder. "Brother, be careful." Seeing this, Zhou Hao couldn't help but remind him. Zhou Hao didn't want this kind person to stand up and help him at this time. He didn't want him to get hurt. But he alone is no match for these gangsters who have fought. Moreover, the bald gangster was holding a baseball bat. If he hit it with a baseball bat, he would definitely be unable to react. Zhang Cheng glanced at him. He was wearing a casual suit and activated the suit thug skill the moment he walked in. At this moment, in his eyes, he only felt that the bald gangster's movements became slower, and he moved his steps and hid. When the bald gangster realized that he had missed the target, he was about to get angry when he was suddenly hit in the face by a whip kick. Boom! As soon as he met him, the bald man fell to the ground. This scene stunned the remaining gangsters. They reacted one by one and ran over waving their weapons. Outside the door, Lu Feng looked at Zhang Cheng's handsome blow just now, and suddenly he secretly cheered. Damn it! Unable to tell, Zhang Cheng looked at Wen Wen's weakness and didn't expect him to be so capable of fighting. When three gangsters rushed up with sticks, Lu Feng saw a more violent scene. When he saw Zhang Cheng, he rushed forward, and then kicked away the gangster who was rushing in front. One squatted down and quickly bounced up, punching the other gangster in the stomach. The three of them were knocked down by him without even touching the corners of Zhang Cheng's clothes. The whole person looks like a humanoid Tyrannosaurus. Brutal. And it feels like an aesthetic feast inexplicably. At least Lu Feng has seen so many fights, and he has never seen anyone fight as easily as Zhang Cheng. With one punch and one kick, everyone vomited blood. Lu Feng has known Zhang Cheng since he was a child, but there has been no interaction with him. However, in the upper-class society, Zhang Cheng's reputation is too great. Zhang Cheng has always appeared in the public eye with a gentle and weak character. Compared to normal men, he is a little less masculine. But it was such a gentle and elegant second-generation rich man who was circulated in the upper-class society, and Lu Feng was stunned. Why can this seemingly frail body burst out with such ferocious power? One punch caused an adult male to vomit blood. Simply unbelievable. Lu Feng was also considered a school bully, but at this moment, the horror in his eyes was clearly revealed. All four people fell to the ground, and Zhang Cheng slowly exhaled. By turning on the suit thug skill, Zhang Cheng's own attributes are temporarily increased by 50%, and all top-level skills related to combat are turned on. Beating up these gangsters is no problem. Zhang Cheng glanced at his first battle record and shook his head slightly. Too weak. Ever since he acquired the suit thug skill, he has been wearing a suit, whether casual or formal, at least a shirt. Not because of any politeness, but to cope with emergencies like this. After putting on a suit and activating level skills such as fighting, advanced, martial arts, advanced, firearm mastery, etc., it takes no effort to defeat these unskilled gangsters. It gave him the feeling of an adult bullying four children. Looking at the messy room, Zhang Cheng frowned slightly. Lu Feng, drag these people out of the door. Ah. Okay, it's coming. Outside the door, Lu Feng came back to his senses and responded quickly. This time he didn't dare to refute Zhang Cheng, for fear that he would give him a kick as well. Although he had learned karate, he felt it was not enough for him. So he obediently walked in and threw these four fainted gangsters in the stairwell. Zhou Hao saw him coming to the sofa and sitting down unceremoniously. Then he realized that this man came to see him for something, and he felt very familiar to him. Thank you, my friend. Zhou Hao sat on the chair and said solemnly. Lu Feng clapped his hands, looked at Zhou Hao curiously, and said, "Is this the person you are looking for? It doesn't look like anything special." "Oh, it's quite special, tisk tisk, such a shame." Zhang Cheng did not answer his words, but looked at Zhou Hao and said with a smile, "Are you Zhou Hao?" Zhou Hao nodded. He was a little strange, wondering how this young man with such a strong aura knew about him. Also, what is he looking for? Zhang Cheng looked at his doubtful eyes and chuckled, "Let me introduce myself first. My name is Zhang Cheng. Shenhao, my fiancée, is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 34. Are you Zhang Cheng? Are you Mr. Zhang Cheng, the president of the Zhang Group?" Zhou Hao, who was full of doubts, said excitedly when Zhang Cheng announced his name. "Mr. Zhang, I have admired you for a long time, but I never thought that you would be the one who saved me. No wonder I think you look very familiar." After getting excited, Zhou Hao sighed with emotion. He never thought that he would meet Zhang Cheng in this way. Zhang Cheng has changed too much. After obtaining the system, his appearance has reached its highest level. If he is not particularly familiar with him, few people will recognize him. "Mr. Zhang, the fields of new energy and virtual reality technology that you have invested heavily in are very promising. Unfortunately, you were too eager for success, which led to bankruptcy. If investment is steadily input, results will surely come out in a few years. As soon as he heard that the person in front of him was the president of the Zhang family that he had admired for a long time, Zhou Hao didn't stop talking and kept talking. Zhang Cheng was stunned for a moment, smiled and shook his head. This is all over. No, 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 I admire your vision very much. Zhou Hao still had admiration in his eyes. It's a scene where large businesses are bragging about each other. Lu Feng smiled disdainfully, but when he saw Zhang Cheng's eyes, he quickly shut up and changed the subject. Let's get down to business. Zhou Hao also came to his senses and asked quickly, Mr. Zhang, why did you come to see me? Seeing that he got to the point, Zhang Cheng also said directly, I wonder what Mr. Zhou Hao's future plans are. Hearing this, Zhou Hao froze for a moment, then smiled bitterly, Mr. Zhang, to be honest, I am bankrupt now. As you just saw, those people are here to collect debts. If you ask me what my plans are, I don't have any yet. He now has no plans or goals at all. He has failed to start a business 3 times in a row. This time, he was tricked by his classmates who regarded him as brothers and was heavily in debt. All this left him exhausted. Zhang Cheng crossed his hands, crossed his legs, and said calmly, you mean that 500,000 yuan? This is simple. Zhou Hao was stunned when he heard this, and said quickly, Mr. Zhang, there is no need to trouble you to help me solve it, I have a way myself. He didn't want to owe Zhang Cheng a favor. After all, he has been a boss 3 times, so he naturally knows that in the upper class, money is just a number to them, and debts of gratitude are the most difficult to repay. Zhang Cheng didn't say anything, he said casually. Oh? Are you sure? They want you to come up with 500,000 yuan within a week, otherwise they will let you use this house to pay off your debt. If I guess correctly, this house is the only property your parents left to you brothers and sisters, right? Even in the near future, this place will be demolished. The compensation then, tisk tisk, are you willing to give it up? The so-called Lord Tiger is nothing more than a dog under Song Qing's command, but even so, do you dare to resist? Every word Zhang Cheng said directly hit Zhou Hao's heart. Just like Zhang Cheng said, he didn't want to. But 500,000, even he could not raise it within a week. When the time comes, if he wants to continue living in the magical city, he can only agree to give them this house. It doesn't matter to him, the most important thing is that his sister is still in the magic city. Zhou Hao's expression changed. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng spoke again, from today on, that man named Wang will not come to trouble you again, and you don't have to pay back the 500,000 that you didn't have. Upon hearing this, Zhou Hao immediately raised his head and looked at Zhang Cheng with complex eyes. Zhang Cheng continued to state his thoughts as if no one was watching. Mr. Zhou Hao, since you don't have any plans now, why not listen to my thoughts? Zhou Hao was stunned and said in a daze, Mr. Zhang, please tell me. Even though Zhang Cheng is no longer the president of the billion-dollar group, he always understands one thing, a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. You can tell this just by looking at Liu's eldest son standing behind him. Even though Zhang Cheng fell from the $100 billion club, he was still not comparable to ordinary people like him. I wonder if Mr. Zhou Hao is interested in working in my company. As for the position, he is officially the president of the group. Zhang Cheng's calm and gentle tone rang in Zhou Hao's ears. He was stunned for a while before he realized, Mr. Zhang, what are you doing? He didn't understand what Zhang Cheng meant. Zhang Cheng established a new company. Why hasn't any news been released? And why would he like him? I will set up a new company in a while. It is not convenient to disclose it now, but after 2 weeks, I guarantee that it will shock the Magic City Circle. Zhang Cheng's words were so arrogant that they shocked the Magic City with its complicated strength. He actually didn't feel the presence of water, as if that was how it should be. As long as you agree, 1% of the shares and an annual salary will start at 5 million. In the future, the shares and annual salary will increase depending on performance, Zhang Cheng said proudly. In Zhang Cheng's eyes, Zhou Hao is indeed worth the price. Behind the scenes, the wealth created by Zhou Hao completely overwhelmed the three current song groups. Of course, all these wealth belonged to Ye Tian. At that time, Zhou Hao only had an annual salary of tens of millions and no shares. But I gave him 1% of the shares, which doesn't seem like a lot, but what about when the market value is hundreds of billions? 1% is a starting point of 1 billion. How can I take on such a big responsibility like Mr. Jiang's? Zhou Hao stuttered. He subconsciously ignored 1% of the shares. What he saw was a starting annual salary of 5 million. He did not realize how much profit this 1% share would bring him later. I say you are qualified. As long as you agree, after signing the contract, you will be the president of my new company, and most of the authority will be open to you. I will only watch behind the scenes, and you will be free to do everything you want. Zhang Chen waved his hand and confirmed it directly. In addition, I will advance 1 million to you. Don't you still have a girlfriend who is a childhood sweetheart from a good family? Now you have the capital to propose marriage, right? Zhou Hao immediately fell silent after hearing this. 1 million is not a huge sum of money to him. After all, his peak net worth was over 10 million. Mr. Zhang, you make it really difficult for me to make a choice. Zhou Hao was silent for a long time and then spoke slowly. Zhang Chen didn't say anything at this moment, but let him make his own choice. At this moment, Zhou Hao thought too much. One of the reasons why he chose to start a business was to allow his sister Zhou Wanqing to live a good life. In addition, his childhood sweetheart is also being forced to get married by his family. If he can't come up with their ideal conditions, I'm afraid. Thinking of this, Zhou Hao took a deep breath. Mr. Zhang, you have come to the door with such sincerity. I can only agree to it. I also ask Mr. Zhang for your advice in the future. Hearing Zhou Hao's agreement, a smile gradually brightened on Zhang Chenjunyi's face. Ding! The plot has changed, and the villain's value is at 1,000. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 35. The system prompt sounded at the same time as Zhou Hao agreed, which showed that Zhou Hao really made the decision to do things for himself. Ha ha ha, don't worry, Mr. Zhou Hao. In less than 2 weeks, you will appear in the public eye in a peak posture. Zhang Cheng smiled. Zhou Hao nodded. Since he decided to follow Zhang Cheng, from this moment on, he would be Zhang Cheng's subordinate. No matter what the prospects were, at least the benefits he would give him were real. After the negotiation was settled, they chatted for another half an hour, and then Zhang Cheng transferred 1 million to Zhou Hao's account and left. Go out and go downstairs. On the way to the parking lot, Zhang Cheng suddenly saw Zhou Wanqing walking towards the residential building with vegetables in her hands. His eyes stayed on her face for 2 seconds, and then he looked away. Zhou Wanqing also noticed his presence, and when she saw Lu Feng beside him, she frowned. Why are these two people near my house? She knew Lu Feng, a famous rich second generation in the school. Shaking her head, Zhou Wanqing went straight upstairs without thinking much. No matter what they were doing, they had no interaction with her. When she got to the 4th floor, Zhou Wanqing turned pale when she saw a few pools of blood in front of her door. He hurriedly opened the door, and as soon as he entered, he saw Zhou Hao, who was cleaning up the mess in the house, with a bruised nose and a swollen face. Zhou Wanqing suddenly spoke up, with a hint of crying in her voice, "Brother, did they beat you?" "Ah! Wanqing, you're back, brother is fine." Zhou Hao quickly explained when he saw his sister coming back. However, Zhou Wanqing interrupted directly, "Did Lu Feng and others bring people to beat you? I'll go find them and fight hard." Seeing the sudden redness in his sister's eyes, Zhou Hao felt warm in his heart and pulled Zhou Wanqing to explain to her. After listening to what Zhou Hao said, Zhou Wanqing's eyes sparkled. Brother, are you saying that the person just now was Zhang Cheng? Isn't he bankrupt? Why? Zhou Hao's beaten green eyes flashed with sparkle, and he said, No, Wanqing, don't underestimate a person who has been at the top. Everyone in the world thinks that Mr. Zhang is a fool who ruined 3 generations of the Zhang family. In fact, that's not the case. In my opinion, Mr. Zhang is dissatisfied with the Zhang family's structure and life. He wants to throw away the past and create a new Zhang family. It has to be said that after listening to Zhang Cheng's analysis, he also began to imagine that there might be a terrifying force behind Zhang Cheng supporting him. Brainstorming can make everything that was unexplainable in the past become reasonable and justified, and there is no reason to create excuses. A thoughtful look appeared on Zhou Wanqing's fair and flawless face. So this is I wrongly blamed Mr. Zhang. On the Ferrari 488, Lu Feng had been suppressed for a long time and was finally released at this moment. What do you think? 5 million to hire someone who doesn't know his reputation and give you 1% of the shares. Your company hasn't even been established yet. How dare you say this? You have money and no place to spend it? Please invite me to come more often. This is the clubhouse. Although it was not his money, he was a little confused when he watched Zhang Chenxia perform an operation that he couldn't understand. I said, in another week, you will know whether my choice is right or wrong. You can see real benefits in a month at most, but what I want is not that, but long-term benefits. Also, after the Song family's reception is over in a few days, someone may come to you to buy this unfinished project. Seeing Zhang Cheng's confident look, Lu Feng was also dubious. Could this rotten place really be able to generate such huge profits? Jingle bell bell. At this time, Lu Feng's cell phone rang. After answering the phone, Lu Feng's expression gradually became ambiguous. 2 first-line young models have been arranged. Do you want one of them? With that said, he handed the phone to Zhang Cheng and took a look. Zhang Cheng glanced at it, then shook his head. I'm not interested in this kind of vulgar powder. The person in the photo is good looking. From his perspective, he can score an 8. But there are traces of plastic surgery, and she is not the kind of natural beauty. Besides, he currently has many candidates with a score of 9 or above. How could he be interested in such artificial beauties with plastic surgery and makeup? Then you don't want me to come alone? Lu Feng didn't care, took back his phone and smiled. The two of them found a better restaurant to have a meal, and then Lu Feng took Zhang Cheng back to school. In 3 days, remember to come to Song's cocktail party, Zhang Cheng said again after getting out of the car. Lu Feng was a little surprised. He would not participate in such a barren drinking party. What's more, someone with Zhang Cheng's status. You want to go to a cocktail party of this caliber? Okay, I'll go. Zhang Cheng nodded and left. Lu Feng stared at him for a while and muttered to himself, it's not too bad. Zhang Cheng was walking on the road when suddenly, a girl's voice sounded. Cousin Zhang Cheng. Zhang Cheng turned around and saw a girl wearing a white dress, a ponytail, and a baby fat face, blinking at him with her big bright eyes. This girl's name is Chen Xiaoxi, Zhang Cheng's cousin, who is just a sophomore this year. Cousin Zhang Cheng is really you. Seeing Zhang Cheng turn around, Chen Xiaoxi shouted excitedly. What's wrong? I've never seen you so excited before seeing me. Seeing Chen Xiaoxi approaching him, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but reach out and pinch her baby fat little face. Yeah, it's fleshy and feels good when pinched. Chen Xiaoxi was a little unhappy and slapped away the big hand that was kneading her. His voice was crisp, and he said angrily, Cousin, if you keep doing this, I will ignore you. How old am I, and you still pinch my face? Then Chen Xiaoxi's big eyes flashed. She came to Zhang Cheng's side and whispered, Cousin, you don't have a girlfriend yet, right? Would you like me to introduce one to you? It's very beautiful. Zhang Cheng covered Chen Xiaoxi's head with his big hand and rubbed her hair until it was messy. You think my cousin is so handsome, does he look like someone who can't find a girlfriend? I still need you to introduce me. Then my handsome cousin, can you do me a favor? No, Zhang Cheng refused without even thinking. Oh, cousin, please help me. I will introduce my best friend to you. Let me tell you, she is very beautiful. She is much more beautiful than Song Yiwei or Su Yao. Chen Xiaoxi hugged her. Zhang Cheng's arm shook, his voice sweet. Just accompany us to a cocktail party, it's very simple. At this time, a beautiful sound like an aureole emerging from the valley suddenly came. Xiaoxi, you are talking nonsense again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 36. Looking for the sound, I saw a slim girl wearing a white t-shirt and a pleated skirt slowly walking over. The girl has short, side-parted hair, which does not mean that a girl is most beautiful only if she has long hair. The girl in front of her has a fair and flawless face, a pair of clean, bright eyes, and smart eyes. As she walked over, the hot weather seemed to become refreshing. The girl walked to Chen Xiaoxi's side, stretched out her white and tender hands, and tapped her head lightly. Xiaoxi, what are you talking about? Chen Xiaoxi immediately let go of Zhang Cheng's arm, hugged the girl instead, and said with a smile, Qingying, I didn't say anything. I just invited my cousin to accompany us to that boring cocktail party. By the way, let those lemon spirits know how excellent your partner is. Qingying. Zhang Cheng, who was originally as calm as water, suddenly condensed his eyes and quickly glanced at the girl. Could it be that she was really the Su Qingying written in the book? In the original book, Su Qingying is a very special heroine. Yes, heroine. But she was not included in the protagonist's harem, which is why she is special. However, although Zhang Cheng's gaze was withdrawn very promptly, it still gave him the feeling that he had been caught by Su Qingying. Su Qingying smiled, what's the matter? They show off theirs and we live our own, regardless of what they say. Hearing this, Chen Xiaoxi was not happy. Why do you have to keep giving in to them? Don't worry, my cousin is here, and none of them can even think of showing off in front of us. After saying that, Chen Xiaoxi turned her head again, looked at Zhang Cheng hopefully, and said pitifully, good cousin, you will help us, right? If you agree, I will give you my best friend. Look, she is much prettier than those female CEOs, he said and kissed Su Qingying. Look, it's all natural, no makeup. Su Qingying smiled helplessly. Zhang Cheng touched his chin and asked, just accompanying you to the reception. Originally he didn't want to go, but after seeing this very special heroine, Su Qingying, Zhang Cheng changed his mind. If you win this heroine, she will bring you 1000 villain points at the end, right? Moreover, Su Qingying's role is not only to obtain villain points. Even for a character that the male protagonist can't get, one can imagine the impact she can bring. Seeing that her cousin seemed to be willing to agree, Chen Xiaoxi nodded immediately, yeah, I'm just going to a boring cocktail party. If you go in, it will be over soon. She didn't want to tell her cousin her purpose, if she knew whose boyfriend she wanted him to pretend to be. With his cousin's arrogant temperament, he would definitely not agree to participate, even if he went bankrupt. When he arrives at the right time, explain the situation to him. Hey! Chen Xiaoxi, you are such a smart and cute little wit. Chen Xiaoxi rolled her eyes and smiled. Cousin, just dress smart and come tomorrow night. I will send you the location on WeChat. Then, without waiting for Zhang Cheng and Su Qingying to say anything, she pulled Su Qingying away. I won't tell you any more, we are going to class, bye cousin. Zhang Cheng looked at the back of Chen Xiaoxi, who quickly left with Su Qingying in her arms, and the corner of his mouth curled up in a dangerous arc. Unexpectedly, Chen Xiaoxi and Su Qingying turned out to be good best friends. Then I have to put more effort into her. Originally, Zhang Cheng shouldn't have contacted Su Qingying so early, but what happened in front of him forced him to put aside other arrangements first. At the very least, you need to have some basic development with Su Qingying before you can continue to do other things. Two good things happened in a row, which made Zhang Cheng a little happy. First, he conquered Zhou Hao, and then met Su Qingying. The plot trend seems to be good. As for his contact with the male protagonist Ye Tian, to be honest, Zhang Cheng didn't take him too seriously. At least his current starting point is much higher than him, and as long as many things are arranged first, it will be enough for Ye Tian to miss every step. Rather than playing any conspiracy, this feeling of taking the first step is what makes people feel most comfortable. Humming a familiar tune, Zhang Cheng came to Paramela, opened the car door and got in. Ang, it's time to return this Panamera to Su Yao. Let's go to the Ford's shop first to see what cars are available. In the car, Zhang Cheng muttered silently, and then the system panel unfolded in front of him. System, Villain System. Host, Zhang Cheng. Wealth, 1,999,066.29 yuan. Villain value, 1,250 points. Backpack. Disposable attribute points, 0. Attributes, Constitution, 100. Strength, 110. Reactions, 110. Speed, 100. Charisma, 149. Note, the standard for a normal adult male is 100, and the maximum charm value is 149, full. Skills, Intermediate Cooking, 4399/6000, Shooting, Entry 2100/4000, Fighting, Entry 3700/4000, English, Advanced Max, Piano, Master Max. Special Skill, Suit Thug. 1.9 billion, is enough money. Speaking of which, there hasn't been much progress recently, and the system rewards are relatively small. Zhang Cheng felt a little regretful. Although I have gained a lot of luck points in the past few days, I have not received any system rewards. I don't know if I will get new special skills next time. After reading the personal attributes, Zhang Cheng started the car and drove towards the nearest Aston Martin store. When he came to the Aston Martin store in Shanghai, Zhang Cheng directly bought an Aston Martin DBS in Earl Black. Compared with cars such as Lamborghini and Porsche, Zhang Cheng would rather drive an Aston Martin, which is known as the gentleman among cars. After paying the money, the manager of the Aston Martin store said that he would go through all the procedures and deliver it to Zhang Cheng's villa before 8 o'clock tonight. As for cars, before the Zhang family went bankrupt, Zhang Cheng's garage had at least 50 various luxury cars parked in it. Back in the villa, Zhang Cheng called another driver and asked him to pull Parimal to Su Yao's side. As for Su Yao, Zhang Cheng has no plans to develop further with her yet. After all, the Su family is still there. However, as a professional fish farmer, Zhang Cheng still sent a bunch of ambiguous words to Su Yao. After flirting with her for a while, I got 300 villain points. Zhang Cheng ended the chat with satisfaction. At present, it seems that Su Yao can still make a lot of money. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Cheng, who was enjoying the breeze in the villa, got up and set off after receiving the location information of Chen Xiaoxi's Nazi. A fun night of flirting begins. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 37. Outside the Magic City Concept Party Hotel. This is a new concept party hotel in Shanghai. It's almost 9 o'clock. It's not here yet. My cousin's efficiency is too slow. Chen Xiaoxi was outside the hotel, looking at the road outside, looking at the passing vehicles one after another, and kept mumbling. Okay, Zioxy, actually it doesn't matter whether your cousin comes or not. We will go in and sit for a while and then leave. On the other side, Suqing was wearing a pink t-shirt and a white skirt tonight, with a one-shoulder crossbody bag hanging on her shoulder, and said with a smile. That won't work. If you just go in like this, those ugly lemon spirits will definitely be worse than Bai. As my eldest wife, how can I let you be criticized by others? When my cousin Zhang Cheng comes over, I will kill low-end players like them instantly, Chen Zioxi said plausibly. In fact, her family is not short of money, but she doesn't like to show off, so she has been studying in school as an ordinary family. Not to mention how much Chen Zioxi's family has, there are at least 5 to 6 billion there. After all, it is Zhang Cheng's mother's natal family, so the conditions cannot be any worse. When Zhang Cheng realized that he was going bankrupt, he asked the Chen family to throw away all cooperation and shares, preserving the Chen family as much as possible. Therefore, even if Zhang Cheng was not taken away by the Su family, he would still have the Chen family as his last resort. It's okay. We won't miss anything if they say a few words, right? Compared to Chen Zioxi's impatience, Suqing was very calm. She has always maintained an attitude of neither blending in nor rejecting these so-called classmates' socializing receptions. But because of her good looks, there are still many rich second generations who want to pursue her. Hey, aren't these classmates Chen Zioxi and Suqing? The reception is about to start, and you are still outside. Could it be that you don't dare to go up? At this time, a tall girl wearing fancy clothes and heavy makeup walked up with her arms around a boy in a suit. Facing the two people standing outside, they couldn't help but cover their mouths and sarcastically. Can't we just blow some air? Come up so quickly. Zhang Lily, are you rushing to be cremated or buried? Chen Zioxi gave her a big eye roll and said it back unceremoniously. The brightly dressed girl looked a little ugly and snorted, you two country bumpkins, if you're afraid, don't go in. Husband, let's go. Husband. After calling her boyfriend twice, she found that the other person did not answer her. Zhang Lily took a look and found that the other person was looking at the girl who was as graceful and elegant as a daffodil over there with some infatuation. Zhang Lily suddenly became angry, touched her boyfriend's waist with her hand, and squeezed gently, let's go. The boy was in pain, came to his senses, and nodded repeatedly, oh. Seeing the two people disappearing at the door of the hotel, Chen Zioxi curled her lips and said, huh, everyone wants to show off, so just find a BMW and think you are at the top of your life. Suqing smiled sweetly, Zioxi, you have to change your mouth. But it was also because of Chen Zioxi's indifference and her protective character that she was able to play well with Chen Zioxi. Come on, let's go in too. After all, it's already about to start, so we can't wait too long with that. Suqing walked towards the hotel. Chen Zioxi gritted her silver teeth, stamped her feet, sent a message to Zhang Cheng, and went in by herself. The entire 4F of the Concept Party Hotel is a party hall. The interlaced technological lights and maze-like matrix structure make you feel like you have entered a dream space intertwined with reality. The entire hall is very large, with billiards, table games, and KTV all available. There are also 2 tables with a variety of exquisite snacks, buffets, and drinks. During this period, there were several waiters running shuttle services. There were about 70 or 80 people in the hall, all of them young faces, all with excited expressions, trembling to the loud music. This group of people are all sophomores at Shanghai University of Finance and Economics. They basically all know each other, and they chatted loudly while drinking. There were quite a few people around one of the tables. Mostly girls. I said, Luqiang, you spent a lot of money today and directly booked the 4th floor of the Concept Hotel to hold a party. Isn't that right? I heard that the starting price for one floor is at least 100,000 yuan. Including the self-service drinks, I don't think I can afford it without 200,000 yuan. Since you are so arrogant, we won't be polite to you anymore. Several young girls, all very fashionably dressed, were holding champagne glasses in their hands and looking at the boys with shining eyes. Lu Qiang, who was in the main position, felt the eager eyes of these girls, and couldn't help but feel a touch of pride on his face. Don't be polite to me tonight, just play whatever you want. Hearing this, the girls became even more proactive, and each one rushed to clink glasses with Lu Qiang. Although they knew that Lu Qiang's target today was not them, they did not stop themselves from seducing him. That person will definitely refuse later. By then, won't you have a chance? After all, if you drink too much and encounter something unpleasant, maybe it will be the end of it. When the time came to 9 o'clock, the music in the hall suddenly turned off. Everyone looked in the direction of Lu Qiang involuntarily, and everyone put down what they were doing. I'm very happy that everyone can come to the party I initiated. This is also the first joint gathering of our sophomore, first and second classes, so I hope everyone can have a good time. Everyone laughed in agreement. After his voice became quieter, Lu Qiang continued, but before the party starts, I want to confess to someone. As soon as he finished speaking, the light suddenly dimmed and a spotlight came on. Then, Lu Qiang, who was wearing a black suit and with a handsome smile, held up a large bouquet of roses and gradually walked towards the person. Qingying, I have liked you for a long time, can you be my girlfriend? The spotlight flickered on Su Qingying, who stood proudly among the flowers. Suddenly, both the boys and girls couldn't help showing a look of envy and jealousy. Promise him, promise him. Hearing the cheers from the people around him, Lu Qiang showed a confident smile. Su Qingying glanced at him calmly, with a light voice, and refused, sorry, I can't be your girlfriend. Su Qingying was not interested in this kind of scene at all. Instead, she was a little unhappy, and her beautiful eyebrows were slightly frowned. Why? I really like you, please give me a chance. Su Qingying thought for a while and said lightly, because I don't have feelings for you. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 38. After listening to Su Qingying's voice without any emotion, although it was pleasant to the ear, it felt extremely ironic in Lu Qiang's ears. What does it mean to have no feeling for yourself? I won't say how handsome he is, but at least he is much more handsome than most people. Moreover, his family background is prominent. Isn't this enough to attract girls? For this confession, he booked the fourth floor of the Concept Hotel and spent 250,000 yuan to plan this confession. Any girl would never reject such a romantic confession. Lu Qiang suppressed the anger in his heart and said, are you really unwilling to think about it? Well, don't think about it. Su Qingying nodded lightly without any hesitation. She doesn't like this kind of sensationalism. In her eyes, Lu Qiang's confession was no different from an acrobatic clown. Besides, she really didn't have any feelings for Lu Qiang. Humph, it's really disrespectful. Lu Qiang spent so much money to create such a romantic confession, and she actually refused. Why are you pretending to be noble? If I had agreed long ago. Perhaps you are trying to seduce someone. Isn't there a kind of girl who likes to pretend to be aloof, but actually wants others to pursue her all the time? You don't even look at your whole body. The whole body is not worth 1,000 yuan, right? Seeing Lu Qiang shivering in front of Su Qingying, some people who had long disliked Su Qingying began to mock him. The more unpleasant things he said became more and more excessive. Chen Xiaoxi, who was next to Su Qingying, immediately became angry when she heard them talking more and more unpleasantly. He stood up, glanced at the girls who spoke, and sneered, before talking about others, you don't even look at what you look like. You all look like crooked melons and cracked jujubes, carrying A-grade bags. You are arrogant. Why are you laughing? I'm talking about you. You're holding an A-grade product bought by a certain treasure in your hand. What are you laughing at here? Do you deserve it? And you, why are you so embarrassed here wearing a pair of fake shoes? Although Chen Xiaoxi was raging here, it was also targeted. Most of the girls were just envious, not like some money-worshipping girls who were jealous and ridiculed. Although she has a venomous mouth, she also knows who she can and cannot quarrel with. After all, she has been in school for 4 years and will be in school for the next 2 years. With a family background like hers, what kind of brand name bags, necklaces, and shoes does she not have? She only had to take a quick look and she would realize that the women holding the fakes were the ones who screamed the most. She didn't even bother to know someone like Lu Jiang with a net worth of over 100 million in the Shanghai circle. Before his cousin went bankrupt, over 100 million was just a joke, and he was not even qualified to meet them. It's just that he doesn't want to show it. Otherwise, would someone like Lu Jiang, who loves to show off in school, dare to pursue his friend after knowing her identity? Huh, why are you dragging me? After all that, it's not that no one is pursuing me, or that I want to hang others up. Hearing this, Chen Xiaoxi was so angry. Just when he was about to reply to others, he heard Lu Jiang speak. Since Jingying doesn't want to do it, forget it. After saying that, Lu Jiang turned around and came to a girl who was wearing some revealing clothes. In front of a girl who had 7 or 8 points of makeup, he said neatly, "Zhang Xiyin, are you willing to be my girlfriend?" This was the girl who first said that Su Qingying was pretending to be noble. She was wearing a black short skirt and a pair of relatively slender legs covered with black stockings. When she saw Lu Jiang speaking to her, Zhang Xiyin suddenly became excited. He immediately nodded crazily, "I do. Of course she is willing." She has been pursuing Lu Jiang for a long time, but Lu Jiang has always been hanging on her, neither refusing nor agreeing. At this moment, with the help of Lu Jiang's failure in plotting to confess, she had obtained the love she had dreamed of. Why wouldn't she agree? Although it is a bit suspicious of a second-hand spare tire, it is not important. Didn't you see that the eyes of the women around you became envious and jealous? Seeing her agreement, Lu Jiang also took a deep breath. He has long been prepared to accept the thought of failing in his confession. If his confession to Su Qingying fails, then he will find someone else immediately. We can't let these hundreds of thousands go to waste. After all, it was pocket money that had been saved for several months. If you can't catch Su Qingying, then catch another fish. Although it's not as good as Su Qingying, it's not too bad. After thinking about it, Lu Jiang gritted his teeth and took out a delicate small box from his suit pocket and opened it. From it came a platinum necklace set with diamonds and emeralds. "Xiyin, I have a necklace here for you." Seeing the necklace on Lu Jiang's hand, some sharp-eyed girls immediately shouted, "Oh my god, this is a necklace from the Tiffany Souls series, worth 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. Hearing this, some girls immediately cast envious and jealous looks at Zhang Xiyin. Zhang Xiyin even covered her mouth and looked at Lu Jiang infatuatedly. "It's a necklace worth 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. Thanks, dear." Zhang Xiyin happily took the necklace, then looked at it several times, and then cast a provocative look at Su Qingying and Chen Xiaoxi. "See it? You missed Prince Charming." However, seeing that Su Qingying's expression did not change at all, Zhang Xiyin felt like she had been punched in cotton. She has always been suppressed by Su Qingying and Chen Xiaoxi in class. She came from an ordinary family and finally had the chance to turn over. She really wanted to see regret in Su Qingying's eyes. But this woman was really too calm, as if everything happening in front of her was too ordinary and she couldn't make any waves. But when Chen Xiaoxi saw her eyes, she immediately felt unhappy and looked at you in displeasure. "Oh, it's good to have such a considerate boyfriend to give gifts. Su Qingying, don't you think so? I forgot, you don't have a boyfriend. Zhang Xiyan put on the necklace and spoke casually to Su Qingying, smiling. Su Qingying still didn't answer, standing there quietly, watching their performance calmly. Humph, what are you talking about? Who said my Qingying doesn't have a boyfriend? My Qingying's boyfriend is much more handsome than Lu Jiang. He's rich and handsome. No, there's no comparison between the two of them. It won't be a problem to dump Lu Jiang. You've just become someone else's girlfriend and you're so anxious to show off. You're so in love. Chen Xiaoxi was not convinced. Su Qingying didn't want to say anything out loud. She was different. Her words fell on the ears of Zhang Xiyan and Lu Jiang, who was holding back his anger, but their faces suddenly darkened. Zhang Xiyan was even more angry and said, "Who doesn't know how to tell big lies? Then why didn't Su Qingying bring her boyfriend over today? I would like to see what pretty boy can compare to my Lu Jiang." Lu Jiang also had an extremely ugly expression on his face. "Humph, Chen Xiaoxi, there is no need for you to shout wildly here. We are all classmates, and I don't want to kick you out." Before he finished speaking, a straight figure walked in slowly, and his calm and gentle tone echoed in the quiet lobby on the 4th floor. "Who are you trying to get rid of? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 39. Everyone's eyes followed the sound. I only saw a man wearing a black suit with his hands in his trousers pockets. He had a slender figure. The slim suit perfectly highlighted his tall and straight body. The facial features are as clear as sculptures, angular and handsome, and there is a gentle smile on the clean face. A pair of bright eyes flashed with sharpness from time to time, making people dare not look at him. His eyes are like stars, and his brows are like swords. There seemed to be stars twinkling in his eyes. When I look at him, it's like seeing a perfect immortal, which makes people feel humble. This is definitely a face that makes all men envious. To say it is perfect would be an understatement. When he walked into the hall, it seemed like all the lights were shining on him. The perfectly slim black suit, paired with this perfect man, made a word pop up in everyone's mind. Suit thugs. When he walked leisurely into the hall, he stopped beside Chen Xiaoxi. All the young men and women in the hall couldn't help but become quiet and did not dare to interfere. Because his aura is so strong, it is unique to those who have been in power for a long time. Chen Xiaoxi was also shocked at this moment. We only separated at noon. At that time, my cousin was still a young man with a beard. How come we haven't seen each other for only a few hours, and my cousin seems like a different person? After putting on a formal suit, the whole person looks like a sharp sword, shining with sharp light. After shaving off his beard and dressing up carefully, she discovered that her cousin Zhang Cheng's facial features were so beautiful. His eyes, which were originally full of soft color, now looked so deep and lively. He comes from a famous family and has been the president for many years. Paired with a suit, he has a more gentle and elegant temperament, but under this elegant temperament, he seems to contain an explosive masculinity. Chen Xiaoxi looked unstunned. What a divine appearance! After staring blankly at Zhang Cheng for a long time, Chen Xiaoxi finally reacted and poked Su Qingying with her elbow. "Qingying, look, my cousin is super handsome. Being your boyfriend is definitely more than enough." At this moment, she was not interested in arguing with these people. The moment Zhang Cheng came in, she knew the game was over. What does it mean to be a high-end player? That's when a full-level queen enters the novice village and shows off her muscles. Su Qingying also looked up with interest and found that Zhang Cheng at this moment was indeed very different from before. Zhang Cheng glanced around, and then said calmly, who do you want to drive out just now? With a faint glance, he looked at Lu Qiang's somewhat stiff face. I'll go, he's so handsome. Could this person really be Su Qingying's boyfriend? Oh my god, this is so handsome. Look at his watch, the World Limited Patek Philippe Star and Moon Tourbillon. It's worth tens of millions. Everyone was shocked, a watch cost tens of millions. Do you still need to guess how much this person is worth? Hearing them discussing this mysterious man, Lu Qiang's expression suddenly changed. Worth tens of millions. At this moment, Lu Qiang's mind was spinning. Ever since Zhang Cheng came in, Zhang Xiying's eyes have been shining. Her feelings for Lu Qiang are actually based on money and appearance. Now a more outstanding one has come, and her eyes have changed from the beginning. Pride turned to jealousy. Why, how come you, Su Qingying, can find such a perfect man? And how am I worse than you? Why can I only pick up second-hand goods that you don't want? Her heart was twisted with jealousy. Zhang Xiying looked at the Tiffany necklace worth 70,000 to 80,000 yuan hanging around her neck and suddenly felt that it didn't smell good. Compared to the watch on the man's hand, this necklace is not even a fraction of his price. After staring at Zhang Cheng for a long time, Lu Qiang gradually became a little unbelievable, and soon his eyes became frightened. He didn't pay much attention to his girlfriend beside him. He found that the man in front of him was very similar to someone else. No, Su Qingying's boyfriend looks very familiar to me. Damn it! It's President Zhang. It seems like it's really him. Oh my gosh, didn't the news say that Jiang's family is bankrupt and Zhang Cheng is penniless? Silly beep, do you believe what the news broadcast says? He is also a billionaire CEO no matter what. That's right, no matter how bankrupt you are, you still have assets worth more than 10 to 2 billion. Kneel down. It's really him. I didn't expect to see him. No wonder Su Qingying has been ignoring everyone's expressions of love. With such a handsome and wealthy boyfriend, who would even look at a weed? Zhang Xiying wanted to mock someone just now, but her face was so swollen from the beating. Don't you understand this? Some people who imagine that they will fly on a branch and become a phoenix will become arrogant after gaining power. On the other side, after learning the man's true identity, the entire hall was boiling. Because their families more or less have some money, but in Jiang's eyes, it is the same as having nothing, even if they go bankrupt. Haven't you seen people wearing tens of millions of watches? On the other side, Zhang Xiying heard the low noise around her, and her expression turned ugly. Many jeers filled her ears, and Zhang Xiying couldn't help but say, isn't he just a bankrupt and down-and-out CEO? Why are you so flattering? As soon as this sentence came out, all discussion stopped. Everyone looked at her with different eyes, including pity, sarcasm, and gloating. Zhang Xiying also suddenly shut up, and her face turned pale. It seems that I said the wrong thing. Lu Qiang, who was not too scared at first, was shaken and almost cried. Why the hell did I just say that I was going to apologize to Mr. Zhang? Why do you idiot, do this to me? Lu Qiang regretted it. Why didn't he find someone sensible instead of looking for someone based on appearance? I found someone who doesn't have a long mouth. Making a quick decision, Lu Qiang slapped Zhang Xiying decisively. Shut up, Mr. Zhang, is this something you can discuss? This slap stunned Zhang Xiying. She fell to the ground and looked at her new boyfriend stupidly. Obviously, he was gentle and considerate before helping him put on the necklace. But she also understood the importance of the matter, lowered her head, covered her face and did not dare to say a word. Mr. Zhang, don't be angry. This woman is mean-mouthed. Don't take it to heart. Lu Qiang secretly wiped a cold sweat and said fearfully. He was afraid. If these words stung Zhang Cheng, even if Zhang Cheng went bankrupt, he would still have a way to bankrupt his family. Zhang Cheng nodded lightly, yeah, it's okay. Seeing that he didn't care, Lu Qiang breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, fortunately. But Zhang Cheng's next words made him feel excited again. You haven't answered my question just yet. Who do you want to kick out? Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 40. Lu Qiang panicked at that time. He came directly to Zhang Cheng, bowed slightly, and said with an apologetic smile, Mr. Zhang, I don't know about your relationship with Su Qingying. Please forgive me for being disrespectful without my knowledge. As the only child in his family, he certainly knew not to take chances at any time. So he kept his posture very low the first time. Glancing at him, Zhang Cheng said calmly, I'm not talking about my girlfriend. I'm asking you, did you tell my cousin that you want to kick her out? Suddenly, Lu Qiang's scalp felt numb. Chen Xiaoxi turned out to be Zhang Cheng's cousin. He just said that she was impudent and wanted to drive her out. Lu Qiang knew this time that if he didn't give a good explanation, Zhang Cheng wouldn't let him go so easily. Snapped. A loud slap sounded, and Lu Qiang was so cruel that he slapped himself. Please forgive me, Mr. Zhang, for speaking out. The students in Class 1 and Class 2 in the hall were stunned when they saw that Lu Qiang, who was so high-spirited before, actually slapped himself. Could it be said that the distinction between classes in the upper class should be stricter? Zhang Chen nodded and didn't say anything more. Seeing that this man was quite sensible, he didn't intend to continue tormenting him. After all, if he dared to hit himself in public, he could be considered submissive. Well, you have a great future, Lu family, right? Lu Qiang nodded hurriedly and said flatteringly, yes, yes. Zhang Cheng glanced at him and said, Xiaoxi, this person is quite promising. Go back and ask your father to help him a little bit. Oh, I know, Chen Xiaoxi responded obediently. Zhang Cheng's casual words made Lu Qiang's face light up, and the pain caused by that slap seemed to have disappeared. His family just has assets of over 100 million, which does not mean that they have cash, but only the total assets, including the valuation of some real estate and the like. Now there is Zhang Cheng's words, that the Chen family, which had assets worth several billion a few years ago, will help them a little, not to mention how well their own company can do. At least we can go one step further. A slap in the face and a sentence from Zhang Cheng. Made money. This is what Lu Qiang is thinking now. I have to say that this Lu Qiang does have some brains. He knew that when Zhang Cheng said this, it must be effective, and it also proved that he had passed the incident. Thinking of this, Lu Qiang said flatteringly, Mr. Zhang, I won't disturb you anymore. You have a good time. Although he wanted to have a relationship with Zhang Cheng, he also knew that it was not the right choice at this time, so he retreated wisely. After he left, Chen Xiaoxi came to Zhang Cheng and whispered, Cousin, do you really want my family to help this annoying guy? Yes, she still doesn't have a good impression of Lu Qiang, after all, he is too good at pretending. I kept pretending to be sexy in front of myself at school, which was so annoying. Zhang Cheng said calmly, well, this kid seems to be quite smart. Maybe he will be useful one day. When this little turmoil ended, the people around him had almost finished their discussion. None of them covered up, and their curious eyes kept scanning Zhang Cheng. Some girls even boldly flirted with him. Even some girls who didn't worship money couldn't help but want to get to know Zhang Cheng better. Zhang Cheng frowned slightly and continued, Qingying, let's go over there and sit for a while. As he spoke, he put his right hand on his lower abdomen. When Su Qingying saw this scene, she couldn't help but be stunned. She quickly reacted and a slight smile appeared on her perfect little face. He walked over and reached out to hold Zhang Cheng's arm. She knew what Zhang Cheng meant, and of course Su Qingying wouldn't mind acting in a scene with him. Just enough to prevent some people from getting entangled. Sure enough, when they saw the two holding arms and leaving intimately, All the men and women present showed regretful looks. The boys regret that the goddess was kidnapped. Girls regret that their boyfriend is already with a partner. They all have looks that I can't compare to. Can't compete. The three of them walked to a corner and sat down. When no one was around, Chen Xiaoxi stood up and praised, "Cousin, you were so domineering just now." Everyone was shocked and stunned as soon as he came. Then she winked at him again. Zhang Cheng calmly put down Su Qingying's arm, sat on the sofa and took a sip of the juice brought by the waiter. Chen Xiaoxi was also a little disappointed when she saw this scene. She really wanted to bring her best friend and cousin together. Disappointment swept away, Chen Xiaoxi said again, "I haven't introduced you yet, this is my best friend Su Qingying, I have already met at noon today." Su Qingying stretched out her hand generously, "Hello. Nice to meet you." Zhang Cheng smiled gently. Seeing that her faint smile never changed, Zhang Cheng had no doubt that Su Qingying could maintain such a sweet smile for anyone. Neither friendly nor unfamiliar. It's so bland that you can't guess what she's thinking. Just when you think she is getting closer to you, she can make you feel a slight alienation right away. This is a very advanced knowledge. It was precisely because of this that she could remain calm when so many people were ridiculing her just now. "Thank you just now for helping us out." Su Qingying's voice was filled with gratitude. "It's okay, it should be." Chen Xiaoxi said strangely, "Qingying, would you like to thank my cousin for helping you deal with these followers?" Su Qingying smiled and said nothing. That's not what she was talking about. It was about the incident where Zhang Cheng made Lu Qiang look foolish. After all, they were only in their sophomore year, so they would have formed a big quarrel with their classmates right now. Even if Zhang Cheng is there to support them, they will still be subconsciously alienated by everyone. In this way, their circle of friends will become very narrow, and people even think that they are the kind of people who are very unreasonable and cannot be messed with. Zhang Cheng just asked Lu Qiang to slap himself, which left a bad impression. But he was very smart and said it in front of everyone, asking the Chen family to take care of Lu Qiang. This not only made them feel bad, but also prevented their classmates from having too bad feelings toward them, and at the same time, it also made Lu Qiang burst into tears of gratitude. "Cousin, do you want something to eat? I'll get you some." While the three of them were silent, Chen Xiaoxi volunteered to stand up. Zhang Cheng stood up at the same time and said softly, "Serving the beautiful lady is what I should do, let me go." "What do you want to eat?" "He is not a gentleman, just a patient wolf who can slowly fatten the sheep." Chen Xiaoxi suddenly laughed happily, "I don't know, anyway, bring me anything delicious I haven't eaten yet tonight." After hearing what his little cousin said, Zhang Cheng looked at Su Qingying. "I'd like a cup of lemon tea, thank you."